the 7 CTAs that convert that you should be using in your next podcast appearance. So if you're planning to be on another podcast, if you're planning to record a podcast, if you're planning to do a video, you should try these 7 CTAs. Most guests say something like, check out my website, find me on LinkedIn. I would say that that's not a CTA, that is a wish. So today I'm giving you the 7 specific plug and play CTAs that turn passive listeners into active leads. This works for B2B coaches, consultants, and another expert who wants more high-ticket clients. At the end, I'll tell you how to get a free audit of your own podcast CTAs using my leak framework. And who am I? My name is Ludiah Mong'are, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My channel is all about podcast guest strategy, how to get on shows that actually matter so you can attract high-ticket clients without cold DMs or burning out on social media. You gotta step out of the darkness if you want to see the light. Before we get into the 7 CTAs, let's find out why most CTAs fail. In my leak framework, this one falls under E. The E stands for episode messaging. So you build a bridge, but it ends in mid-air. The listener doesn't know where to step. There could be only 3 reasons for that. Number 1, you're too vague. You say something like, go to my website, and then you leave the listener asking, which page, why?
All right, can you please explain to me what's going on?
Mistake number 2 that could cause that fail is too generic. You tell people, sign up for my newsletter. You don't show any urgency. You don't show any value. You need to tell me why I should sign up for your newsletter. What am I getting?
Tell me why.
Mistake number 3 that could be causing that fail is not tracking. You don't know or even one took action after you finished that episode. So a great CTA is specific, valuable, and easy. So let me show you the 7 CTAs that work. The number 1 CTA that you should use if you're going to appear on a podcast next time, it's the podcast listener landing page. This CTA number 1 is the most simplest and the most powerful. So go ahead and create a dedicated landing page just for podcast listeners. For example, if your website is spyreview.com, you could say something like, I have put together a free checklist, template, or a case study, depending on what you have. So you could go ahead and tell people that I've put together a free checklist that walks you through exactly what our chat just talked about. And this is where you give your podcast landing page. You can tell them to go to spyreview.com/podcast to download it right away. So here's what we just did. If you give people that landing page, here's what you've just done. You're giving them a URL that is easy to remember. The page is specific to the episode, and you can track exactly how many people came from that specific podcast. For example, if you are a coach who helps with pricing, your page could be ludiah.com/podcast-pricing. That has a 1-page guide. So here's what I want you to go and do right now. Go buy a short domain or create a sub-page on your site. Name it after your podcast appearance. CTA number 2 that you should use if you're going to appear on a podcast next time is the free audit invitation. So CTA number 2, I will say that it's my personal favorite because it builds trust fast. You can say something like, I'm offering a free 20-minute audit to listeners of this show. No pitch. I'll just look at your last podcast episode, that is, for example, and give you 3 actionable fixes. So go to, again, mention the link where they are going to find that audit to claim one of the spots. So yes, if it were me doing that podcast as a guest, I could be saying something like, I'm offering a free 20-minute podcast audit to 3 listeners of this show. So you don't need to pitch me. I just look at your podcast, your last podcast episode that you did on another podcast, and give you 3 actionable fixes. Go to the link in the show notes, that is spyreview.com/guest audit. to claim one of the spots. So you see why this one works? It's because number one, it's free. Number two, limited spots. And this one creates urgency. So you deliver value before asking for money. It's a low risk way of them for them to experience your expertise. This is exactly what I do with the podcast revenue leak audit, as I mentioned above. So I usually say, go to my website, that is spyrevia.com/guest audit. I review one of your recent podcast appearances and send a loom with your top 3 leaks. And people book this one because it's helpful and it's not salesy. So CTA number 3 that you should be using every time you appear on another podcast or even when you're doing a solo episode, the 1 question survey. This CTA number 3 is for listeners who are not ready to buy but will engage. So you can use some words like, have a quick question for you. Go to my website, spyrevia.com/survey, and tell me, what is your biggest struggle with podcast guesting? And then say something like, I read every response and might answer you also on a future episode. So the reason this survey CTA works is because it's low friction. It's just 1 question. You're not subjecting them to answer several questions. You get market research for free. And another thing, you build a list of engaged leads. So I'm going to give you 1 pro tip. Use a simple Google form. Do not trouble yourself finding those forms that will complicate the process if you don't know how to use them. Ask for the name, email, and 1 open-ended question. So with that one, you now have permission to follow up. CTA number 4 that you should be using in your next podcast appearance, the resource bundle, and that is the lead magnet. So for me, CTA number 4 is for when you have multiple episodes or tools. So you can say something like, if you want to go deeper, I've bundled my best resources on this topic. You will get these 3 things. If you are talking about the 3 things or 7 things for free. So go to my website. You mentioned the link as we said earlier. It has to be easy to remember. You can say something like, go to my website, spyrevia.com/lead magnets, and enter your email to download the resource or to get the bundle. So the reason I love this CTA is because it's perceived high value. They already perceive this one to be a high value resource. It builds your email list, positions you as an expert with the system. Yes, or an example of a resource that you can create or a lead magnet is a checklist from this episode, a template from a previous episode, a short video walkthrough. So you can, if you're doing that specific episode, you can create a checklist specifically from that episode that you did. A template from a previous episode. For example, if you are saying about creating contracts, I previously did an episode on the reason I have contracts for every job, regardless, even if it's small. So you can go check out that episode. You can also do a short video walkthrough. You show them a step-by-step on how to do something, and it has to be short. So you create it once, and it works for every episode. CTA number 5, this is the invitation to connect, but it has to have a twist. So for me, CTA number 5 is for when you want direct conversations. You can say something like, if this episode hit home, send me a DM on LinkedIn, say podcast, and tell me one thing you're going to change. I personally respond to every message. So you see what I said there? I didn't just say, find me on LinkedIn or send me a DM. I gave them some words to use so that I'm able to know they came from a certain episode that I was on. So I'm not going to use that same word every time, but I'll try to use different words so that I'm able to know if someone comes to my LinkedIn DM and says podcast, I know this is a specific episode I was on. So the reason this one works is a direct, personal, and low pressure. You start a conversation without a sales pitch. Many of those DMs turn into discovery calls. So the twist here is that don't just say connect with me on LinkedIn and leave at it. Give them a specific phrase, as I said earlier, a specific phrase to use. It could be episode 23, it could be lead magnet, it could be podcast, whatever that you feel comfortable. That way you know where they are coming from or where the leads came from. CTA number 6. This one is the next episode teaser for serial listeners. So For me, CTA number 6 is for building a loyal audience that eventually buys. You can say something like, next week I'm breaking down the reason why you need to prepare as a podcast guest. If you don't want to miss it, subscribe now and I'll see you there. So you've already given them a reason to come back and listen to your episode or to come back and watch your video. So why it works is because it's not a hard sell. It builds a habit and anticipation. It's because long-term trust leads to long-term clients. But here's the key. Make the next episode a direct continuation from the episode that you are currently doing. So for example, today is CTA. Today we are talking about the 7 CTAs that you should use that convert. So next week we could be talking about how to design a landing page that converts. We mentioned that you should have your CTA should be leading people to your landing page. And in my next episode, I'm talking about how to design a landing page that converts. So if someone was interested in creating that landing page, they'll definitely come back. So CTA number 7, this one is the social proof. Ask. So CTA number 7 is the most underused. Ask for a testimonial or a share. So you can say something like, if this episode gave you one idea, take 30 seconds to screenshot this and share it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Facebook. Tag me. I'll personally thank you and send you a free resource. So you see, I already gave them a reason to share this episode, and I've already told them that I respond to messages. People hate when they tag you and you do not respond, unless you're a celebrity. So if you're not a celebrity, you've not reached that level, people assume that you have so many people messaging you. So why this one works is because you get social proof and reach. The listener feels valued. A small reward like a template, a checklist, costs you nothing. So for example, if someone shares my episode with a comment, I can DM them and say, thanks for sharing. So here's my CTA swipe file. Yes, so this one makes them a warm lead. So here's what we have talked about. We have been talking about the 7 CTAs that convert that you should be using in your next podcast appearance. So if you're planning to be on another podcast, if you're planning to record a podcast, if you're planning to do a video, you should try these 7 CTAs that we have mentioned. Number 1 is a dedicated landing page for your podcast. Number 2 is a free audit invitation. Number 3 is 1 question survey. Number 4, resource bundle. Number 5, direct DM invitation with a twist. Number 6, next episode teaser. Number 7, social proof, where you ask for it. So what you will do is pick one, just one, not 2. Use it on your very next episode appearance. You will see a difference. And if you're not sure which CTAs fit your show, or if your current CTAs are leaking revenue, I'll help you for free. So as I said earlier, go to my website, spirevia.com. That is spirevia.com/guest audit. Or you can find me on LinkedIn and send me the link to your most listened podcast episode. I review it using my leak framework, that is listener feed, episode messaging, arrival destination, kinetic follow-up, and send a Loom video with your 3 top leaks and the specific things that you need to do to fix that one. No pitching me, no obligation, just a fresh pair of eyes. So the link is in the show notes if you didn't get it. I only do 3 audits per week. So that is it for today. If you found this episode useful, if you found the 7 CTAs that converts podcast listeners into high-ticket clients, if you found this one useful, share it with a fellow coach or someone who's wasting their podcast appearances. So I'm Ludiah. This is the Freelancers Mic. Make sure you subscribe or drop us a review if you're feeling generous. I'll see you next week with another tactical episode. Until then, go fix your CTAs. Bye.
You gotta step out of the darkness.